Alright, so another video from the Weiss Schwarz Club. You got Myth. You got Kaichou over there.
Hey again, guys.
Alright, so this is our Seat B matchup. So Kaichou's going to be piloting his Ruby deck, and I'll be whipping out the Sword Art deck for this matchup. So going in, you want to kind of just refresh everybody. Like, we had a brief little discussion about your deck during the intro video, but if you want to, like, kind of talk about what the B seat and why Ruby you think is a pretty good B seat deck in your opinion.
Yeah, so I'm playing Ruby just standard choice standby. Level 1 Jean combo, which is the on a climax play, you can give another character the Shimikaze effect. He also pumps power. Pretty solid combo, just so you can just pump all the effects on one card. Gets the effect. Standard standby combo. She has the similar effect to the Megumin from Konosuba. On the climax placement, you can rest her. If you have the member condition, 2 more appears. You can burn 3, clock kick the opposing character. Just pretty much good stuff. I also play 1 copy of the door just so I can trigger it because I don't like triggering the 4 standby, and I don't want to play the 5th choice because I value getting my utility cards. And what about you?
So over here, I'm bringing out the tried and true Six Pants to Stock Soul variation of Sword Art. It's pretty atypical early game And my level 1 combo is all about sculpting your hand to get to the mid game. Mid game, you utilize the 2-1 Kitty Toad to generate massive amounts of stock, get you into the just explosive end game, and then I use a bit more of a toolboxy finishing lineup that comprises of like the dog counter and a couple of the Alices, particularly the Misashi and the Misakuro, just so that way my end game is more about confirming my wins more so than about like going explosive because that's one of the things that typical 6-2 decks kind of lack is that there's no like true explosiveness outside of World of the Underworld and maybe the Kirito combo if you play that variation of it. So I just decided rather than be explosive, let's just confirm our kills when we get to that point in the game. So yeah, um,
Okay.
yeah. So let's go right into the game. While we have a go, the Kaija, if you want to kind of like explain your reasoning on why you think Ruby's kind of a B, like a seat B set compared to like say Mishoku or Data Live and Kaguya being more of an A, like a CA like meta esque set.
Yeah, so I think it's mostly just like finisher dependent. The Ruby combo, it is very good at what it does. It's not interactive, so it does counter the standby matchups, quote unquote. It does not counter cards that are hexproof because you still have to choose the card, but you still get the burn 3 off. I think for Ruby, your level 0 game is pretty strong. You have solid 1 combos that can get big and deal the opponent's board. Your mid game is alright, because you just have generic 2/2s, also stock healers, EP. It's like early play healers if you decide to play it. But I think the end game is what lacks the most, is that your combos aren't too good. They're like just good enough as opposed to, and you don't win mid game as much. So it's like harder to try to end the game.
Yep. And my and Sword Art is kind of that like it's very gatekeeper esque, right? It's so consistent that like you kind of have to use, in my opinion, and I think it's fair to say that because of how prevalent Sword Art has been, it's kind of that like baseline of is your deck good enough to fight with the rest of the meta type of thing because Sword Art is very like it's not gonna like lose outright to a lot of the matchups, but it's not exactly there to like stomp everything, you know? Like it's very in the middle, very baseline. You get what you need out of it. So
Yeah, 'cause Sword Art, all these cards are very balanced. They work really well together, but the main thing about Sword Art is it has like infinite toolboxing skills. Like cards, you can just grab other cards or just go infinite,
yep,
and you're able to just grab cards that you need at any point of the game.
yeah, definitely. So here we have just to catch up with the action. Kind of a small opener where I use my second or my spare support. You open with runner, but then I come out with the double Ricky setup. You kind of realize that the runner
Yeah.
needs to not be in front of the UGO because I did neg 500 using my Lifa egg.
Yep. Which ties with you, Joe. Don't want that. I want to get my free plus. Here, you get the double Ricky. So now with the double Ricky here, uh, one of them you need later. One of them just gets you a card. The thoughts of I don't think you ever should let your opponent get a +1, unless you're trying to deny like something relevant. Like if they're a level 1 combo, right, which requires
The
card of
memory,
memory,
yeah.
yeah, then you would decide or like stop them from getting that. But if that Yu-Gi-Oh, it's only for level 2, right? So it's not necessarily something you want to deny, and even then, you can always just crash it in later, or you could just opt to not play the 2-1 combo.
Yep. Like it kind of is based off of what you're kind of reading the flow of the game about. Like right now, you triggering the standby, whipping out the Taiying. So
Some back row standby. Yep. And I set up my Pira memory. This is just your classic Rise that will go to memory. If you have 2 or less on reverse, it's how you get your condition for the level 3 Ruby.
and then over here, I'm using admin to help set up waiting room. Thing to keep in mind is that I did set up see a level 1 combo be triggered, so I paid it out, and then I have one in the clock because I'm able to double Ricky myself, but only use one stock. This means that now all that's left for me to do is just get access to all my level 1 combo pieces and one copy of the Asana Bonder, and then I could just let it rip on my next turn. So,
Yep, the consistency of Sao's level 0. And this deck basically is the Ricky can get you a card, the Asuna Bonder can get you the another card. So basically, you Ricky for Bonder, and the Bonder gets you a card, which is like super consistent. And the YouTube back row, you can always just pay to Digital Floodlight to salvage 2 cards with the same name. So it just increases your consistency.
yep. So basically, I just put myself to level 1, and then I use Yu-Gi-Oh's effect to to let it whip because there's two level 1 combos in the waiting room. So let me just salvage those real quick. And there was one in my hand from when I clocked. So, just a
Yeah.
good old fashioned triple combo with an Asuna in the back row to help me out.
Yep. And do note these combos require experience 2 or higher. So you see that you have the level 3 Yu-Gi-Oh in your level right there.
Had it double prep because I got to clock it on turn 1, and then just in case you like clock maniped it out, I managed to put one in with Yu-Gi-Oh's help over there. Shout outs to my buddy.
Yep. So the Asuna here gives the Kirito/Yu-Gi-Oh on attack, gain 1k, and they can scry the top of the deck, top of waiting, which lets you fill the waiting room if you don't have any, or confirm your triggers. Pretty
Yep.
solid effect.
Also gives an additional 1k on top of that, so just
Yeah.
the additional over the top just to make sure that you really confirm uh, your reverses. In this case, right now, my waiting room's a little bit interesting. Like, it's a lot of like both utility and level 3 top end. So basically, my entire hand will just be filled with insane amounts of utility. Let me toolbox out of most situations that I may run into. But for now,
Yes.
being able to get you to level 1.
Yeah. So you see that the awkward level there was I wanted to level red because blue was coming in. I can clock yellow, but I didn't want to level the memory condition because I only played 3, so you have to be able to keep track of where they are. But unfortunately, the next 2 cards are the colors I needed, so we got a little lucky there.
But after that, you get to start activating the Pira, just accelerate the state of memory
Yep. Get my hand filled up.
that John is going to come in and really big. So
So I did trigger Climax in the first attack. So I'm looking to pay that out this turn. So I have one stock out from the Taiying. I also have a Brainstormer, which is another stock out. The potential.
And then the fact that I did leave, or I did have three possible reverse targets means that you can single out which one you want to just funnel into with all your
Yeah.
Johns. So,
Start is pretty fair at doing stuff like that. They're not trying to play denial. They just do their own thing, and then your opponent just does their own thing. So
yep.
it's pretty nice to play against Sword Art.
I mean, that's why I always consider Sword Art to be kind of that baseline, super like, this is what you have to play against in order to get a feel for like where your deck is gonna like measure up to the rest of the game, right?
Yeah, Sword is the standard nowadays.
Like there are certain decks that may gatekeep like the upper echelons, but like if you want to like have a deck that like gatekeeps, I wouldn't say gatekeep is the right word either. It's like you sort of kind of that deck that like you can come up with an original concept or original idea or a take on how someone plays a deck, but until you play against something so consistent, there's only so much information you get out of the playtesting that you get. So,
Yeah,
yep. So this is where Double John and I think you bring down a Neptune, and this is where
Nolan.
oh Nolan.
Yeah, so my hand here, I was thinking of Nolan or the 1-0 Parabomb to get my memory condition, but Parabomb's not that good because I will refresh, so I won't have the experience or the memory target. So I just opted to play this. This card isn't very useful into the startup matchup because they don't play as many like runners and cheese. It's only for like the standby matchups, and if I hit one first and there's a runner,
Yeah.
so that card is just basically a big beater, and it can trade on the defense.
I will definitely say it was annoying enough not being able to just move up characters every now and again when he did come through, but
Yeah, that's like the annoying bit. I can't
but
just move a chump back.
that clean cut target that you tried to save. Nice meme, kid.
Yup. So we got a free 2 search here. Nice solid. Since we are getting to close to the end of the deck, the search was just trying to deck thin so we can get a good compressed state.
Yeah, so right now my deck is one climax left and it's a Kirito Pants in 6 cards. So right now my thought process is okay, if I can clock it and get it, then I'm able to, you know, salvage two. And even though I go down to one stock and end up generating net one stock, it's still good because I'll still be able to have like full access to the waiting room and be able to get that like last minute accessors. So
Yeah. One thing about this type, the 6-2 deck, is with the stock, so it doesn't matter how many stock you start with, as long as you have two, you play double combo, and then it will eventually generate you 7 stock, I think.
they
Two,
generate
four, five, six stock. They generate two, right? And then the
they generate
last
two,
one.
and then the attack itself for is
Oh,
six.
so it's 6, and then 7, 8. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, so 2 stock to 8 stock. I think it's pretty solid.
like you always take those. So this is kind of tricky because uh, I don't really have that many options because I can't move the Asuna awkwardly. So I
Yeah,
just
and you don't want to like lose your card to my bomb.
So I just decided let's go rip three. One slight misplay in hindsight that I could have done to maybe make it a little bit better is I could have had Rize because I had two Rizes in my hand. I could have just used two Rizes and used the other one to just rip through deck after your Nolan bottom deck someone. So,
Yeah,
but
fortunately, I didn't trade the climax, so I was able to leave it at last card cancel. Going
yeah,
back with 6 because I had another or the John climax in hand.
yeah. This was just a little bit unfortunate because I had I wasn't expecting the pants to be at the top there. I was hoping for it to be somewhere in the middle. That way I could auto adjust uh, with the UGO to help me do the filtering. But, at this point, I just take the clean triggers and run with it. But you do hit level 2, which is nice. Like, just being able to, at the very least, develop a little bit of damage and then hopefully make use of it. Daily reminder, Kirito is, like, way bigger for some reason than Nolan. But
Yeah, it's only 2 effects.
yep. And then the side there is just because I don't want to lose the Rize, and also there's no point to me crashing on my turn in that low of
Yeah.
a deck unless I did want to do that like super manipulative uh, deck like distortion play, but that would have required me to have known that the climax is at the top.
Yeah. So even that, like Nolan can't even bottom deck it because Nolan will always be 3K because of Tai Yang. So I will always be bigger than you.
Yeah, so this is where you just go for a second round of hits.
No, which is the point of the deck. You just try to loop combo and then get your advantage from being compressed, cancels, and maybe hit some standbys.
Yep, so just going for the good old get some power, make sure everything's good. Yeah, so that pants trigger, I salvaged the stock soul because I had seen the 2-1 in my clock and I knew there was one left in the deck. So I was like, okay, wherever it is, I'm gonna be able to get 2 of them. So then I'll be able to triple stock soul combo, which is pretty good at developing stock. Like,
Yep. Against decks that don't have stock swap at like level 0 and stuff.
yeah.
Salem is a level 3 stock swap. I'm not reaching a level 3 anytime soon unless I get super unlucky.
And if you do that, you're probably more focused on like developing the end game itself than
Yep.
going out of your way to do a stock swap.
Get some
But
clean triggers here. It's always good. Give this 3.
yeah, this hurts a little bit because I also had Yu-Gi-Oh early play healers in my hand, and now I'm just like, well, I don't really see too much of a need to heal if I'm just gonna amass like a ridiculous amount of stock.
Yeah, 2-4, 2-5. Not really much of a difference. If you were at 2-2 though, that would be pretty good heal timing.
Oh man, and there's the 2-1
Options.
crisis averted.
Yep. Because of that, I did search for the 3-2 Nora, knowing we'll play the in preparation of the 2-1 Kirito, just so I can contest it, because my board right now cannot contest it. And since I played a climax post refresh, I would have a climax going into waiting, so I won't have the tier less early play to play the early play.
Mm. And then you missing the coin flip basically just sent the signal it's time to just triple combo him. So, you
Mm.
know, just go salvage those real quick. And let's go build 11 stock.
10, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yep,
10, yeah.
10 stock.
Thing about Ruby is we really don't care too much about as long as we get the combo off, and our combo gets huge. So which is the
Yeah,
one good side. Like if you're playing the Minami combo, you have to focus on getting the 1, which scales. But getting the 1 is pretty hard because you have to commit more cards just try to get the 1 reverse.
yeah. And
One
then,
upside of playing the choice.
you know, once we get to that, this is just a good old fashioned rip everything. And there goes my War of the Underworld. So I can't just go
Uh,
explosive anymore. Now I have to actually kind of get an idea of like what to use. So I'm just there also aren't as many like dupes for me to double salvage with Yu-Gi-Oh next turns, so that was an important factor in me trying to find something to do. The 1-0.
yeah, we also see a lot of your 3s missing too. There's 2 in clock, 1 in level.
Yeah. Like the 6-2 deck, like if you're not playing the Kirito iteration, you don't really play that many zeros. Like even with my deck, I'm playing a lot more zeros than even that. Adding the Musashi, adding the Misakuro, adding the dog counter. Like I think in the meta list, it's like 3 War of the Underworlds and
Yeah,
2 Sinons, and that's it. And you're for Kirito healers or Yuchio healers, so you don't really have as much at your 3 to necessarily win you explosively. So you kind of have to make up for it by picking what you want out of your options left, basically. So
Yeah. One thing is, Yu-Gi-Oh adds any card from the top 2. You don't have to show the opponent, so no
yeah,
need to give information you don't have to. And we see you pick up the Xenon Pants, so getting ready for that level 3 game.
yeah. So in my hand there was already a Xenon and there was already a Kirito, but I didn't have any way of adding any more Xenons or adding more uh, Kiritos to fuel the Xenon. So this is why on this on reverse I decided to stock 2 of the Misakuros, because then on my subsequent turn, once I salvage those, I have extenders to potentially give me like a better outline of how I need to finish the game.
Yep. You have a lot of stock here. Prime angle for stock swap, not really, because it is RNG. You are just gonna refresh your deck, so stock swap here would be just like cutting the deck in half.
Yep.
But it does disrupt the flow of like what you stock, maybe what you wanted is no longer in there. But it was just you gotta weigh both sides.
Yeah, like against Ruby, I definitely was pretty confident, especially with you triple canceling, I believe. Uh,
I took 2.
oh, you okay? Yeah, so you double canceled. So like, I was pretty confident that there wasn't gonna be any retaliation immediately, but being at 2-5 means that I'm still not exactly out of the woods. Like I need to basically go to accept that I'm going to level 3 and that I have to stabilize the rest of the game at 3-0 or that area in order to make things work. So
Yeah. So here I like double cancel. I brainstorm 0. I draw ditch. No climaxes. So there was 4 climaxes left in the deck. There's a deck of 7 here.
yeah,
So there was a world where, which we'll see later, is that if I didn't trigger any climax and you stock swap there, would have been pretty juicy.
or if I use the one Xenon setup,
Yeah, or
then
you icy tail the 4 climaxes out,
yeah,
which are
like
options. But luckily enough, I was able to save my deck state by triggering climaxes.
yeah, like it was super awkward for me because there were 2 left in your deck by the end of this, and for some reason it did not cross my mind to just do Xenon combo. Like
Yeah, you saw Xenon last and I was like, okay. I guess you're just opting for playing the next turn.
it was less so that, and it was more so like one of those, like I guess you can say that the reason why BC is a little bit of a boring matchup is that you usually can tell that even if you play for the next turn, you're not gonna get that much out of the next turn, if that makes sense. So like this
Hmm.
was one of those situations where it was like, if uh if this were an actual tournament, maybe I play it out and just go for it, but like it was just really like, at this point I'm mentally like, there's not too much that I can do to like reverse the situation aside from like blow him out of the water, right? And
Yeah, without the world within the world. Xenon doesn't actually help you because it's an RNG kind of like damage where you have to hit the climaxes, but if you don't hit, then the combo just did nothing.
yeah, and you also have to keep in mind, because I'm playing a dog counter version, my deck isn't actually about like winning the level 3 game, right? It's about like I get you to that like close to the end, and then I just hit confirm everything to win the game type of situation. So
Yeah,
this is where I'm just like, okay, let's start by healing down, get some stuff happening, play Xenon, like yeah. Because the other thing that really like makes it tricky is because Ruby and Nora are so large on even on defense. Like there isn't a whole lot that I can do if you do end up countering over me on the Ruby lane.
yeah,
So
on
I'm just
Ruby.
like banking on that.
Because you know how to counter, because I salvaged it up the choice too.
Yeah, but it's like at this point, it's like, well, I guess I have to force counter, otherwise I'm
Yeah, you have to force it there rather than I use refresh and get them out later or
yeah.
countering a lane later. Yeah,
So it's like,
because Ruby doesn't really care too much if your opponent tries like crash support because of the Neapolitan, where it just lets you summon two characters from your opponent's waiting room onto their stage, onto empty slots. So if they crash in, it doesn't really stop your combo from going off.
yeah, and that was kind of the duality of where I'm at this point in the game. Is that like short of just eating the next like 9 damage, like there's no way for me to like think that this game is gonna end well for me, right? Like,
So 4 out here. I double triggered 6. So there's 2 and 4.
yeah, and I'm just like, even if I icy tail, there's not that much that I like accomplish necessarily. Like, it's one of those like I'm done with the game situations.
Yeah, it's really hard from this position because since Icy Tail is a mill, the climax goes back into your deck, so you can just cancel off the top again, or like how many damage you would take in
Yeah, so it was
downside
just
of
like,
Icy Tail.
you know, this is a play just to strictly force the counter. Like, there's no, oh, usually there's no way you let me make this one because
Yeah,
the ruby's
'cause,
like super value.
yeah, and I know I triggered a standby, so and I also have a climax up in hand, so just prepping the standby there in case I draw another climax, which with Tai Yang, you're most likely to be able to grab a next climax to do combo.
Yeah. At this point, I'm just like, okay, if he takes it, then I'm dead. If he doesn't take it, then I'm gonna get styled on. You know, like kind of a bit of a awkward.
Really difficult for this type, yeah, for this variant, because
Yeah,
yeah, with Xenon you have to be winning already, and then with that stock,
yeah. Like the
and then you
idea of
can,
this deck is kind of a win through attrition because I'm using dog counter, because I have Yu-Gi-Oh, because I have Misakuro to help me with just raw digging power. So
and the stock compression, right?
yeah, so it's like the entire idea is that after level 2, the whole game is supposed to just come down to if I haven't been stock swapped or if uh, the game doesn't go in a weird angle. It's like one of those natural wins, right?
Hmm.
Like you kind of just slowly squeeze the opponent out, and then you finish the game by dropping your like double Misashi, Misakuro, or some
Yeah,
line like that. So it also didn't help that I think I'm out 6 here, so I'm just like sweating, or I'm out.
no, you're at like 5, and there was like 3 or 4 in the deck here with 5 cards.
Oh wait, no, that's right. This is where I'm out 4, and you asked me how many cards left in the deck, and it's like 5, and I'm just like, wait, Salem?
Yeah, so this is a perfect Salem if I grabbed it. But I thought about grabbing it a while back, off like a John combo, but I opted to grab Nora just to play for the next turn instead of trying to prep the level 3 combo,
Yeah.
and then uh hopefully they already like 2-1 combo and haven't burnt like half their stock, right? Which you already burnt your stock, so it kind of didn't matter too much, depending on like the game flow and how like RNG in the climax is.
Yeah, like I think if you had Salem, the game could have gotten really interesting because then the lines of play might have been a little different for me. But
Yeah, so here I hit 2 after like double canceling,
yeah,
and so I'm like out 4 or 5. Uh, so which is a little tragic. There's 3 left in the deck for sure. I won my hand? Question mark? I don't remember. But there was definitely 3 in the deck. At here, I was just hoping to swing 3 past, not trigger, because there were no free fresh counter because he forced it out the hand. So I was just hoping to not trigger and maybe get some cancels since my deck was small enough. Yeah, I ripped another choice off the Tai Yang, so that's like 1 climax gone.
well, and
So
then I
yeah,
think yeah, and then Nolan to stump back row again, like
yeah, just in case, because you never know. You want to have like a free chump speeder.
yeah.
So here, so back to the dog counter. Dog counter is a 2-5 counter, which makes Xenon 12-5. Ruby is 11-12. At most with Tai Ying, so that's why we have to play the climax here just to get over range, because I want Ruby to live since I did grab the memory kick counter. So I'm playing for the defensive 14k wall in case anything ever happens.
Yeah. So, oh, it was just like, and now we go for it.
Because I know you're going to triple cancel here. So at this point, we're just trying to hope for not trigger.
Yep. So, just some classic swing three pass angles here. Just getting
Being Nolan in case I hit a standby.
canceling as we expect. And
Two
another
clean
one.
triggers. Oh.
Me being like, man, dog counter is not enough here.
Yeah, but Charlotte's assist though.
Where's the Charlotte's assist when I need it the
Yep.
most, dude?
Triple cancel as expected.
And then draw the last climax.
Yeah, so now you have 2 climax in hand, right? Because you pantsed it. Pants one.
Yeah. So this is where I play. I just basically play to go. It's one of those like you play to just let the game finish type of situations because at this point I don't have like
You
a finishing strategy
know,
established.
yeah,
So
so
it's like
here, if you had a scene on, I think it would have been a little sketchy sometimes because no 7. I think
yeah,
that's like half my deck, so maybe hit like 1, maybe 2. So it was a world, I think, for that. If I let the scene on live, right?
yeah,
Maybe it would have been different. Or you counter over.
yeah. So like thing is that I needed playables because you did stunt the background.
It matters.
It
Yeah.
it mattered in the sense that it forced an extra card out of my hand, which was
Yeah, which is what the point of the card is.
yeah,
But good thing you have a check X, so you can always dig into more cards.
yeah. And at this point, I'm just like, man, I'm gonna lose like 2 characters to Ruby, or I'm losing my only character to Ruby. So no matter how I look at it, things are about to get really awkward. So let's compress myself really quick. And this is where the egg shows me like 2 climaxes, I think, or one
Oh,
climax. And I'm just like, oh no.
yeah. So power lines, you just drop assassin, right?
Yeah,
Or is he the okay, drop assassin. So you played him, so he's only what 10-5? Whatever.
yeah, it's 10-5, and then I slam the
5.
climax for 11-5. So
Yeah. Nora, since he only gets power on play, she's just small 9-5 now. She did her job getting rid of one of the copies.
mission accomplished.
Yeah. The only lane that matters for me is the Ruby combo lane, so as long as I protect that, it's all good.
We're still kind of under the impression that Nora
Is big,
is
but
big,
she is
but you only act big one time before you realize you're not.
not big anymore.
you know, like
Some good
yeah, this is just that stereotypical. All right, I have no actual strategy, so I'm just going for a good old fashioned 7 straight damage to the face.
Yeah, there's a world where I die here. So I canceled the 1 or the
Yeah,
2, which was pretty good. So here, Nora or Alice is 3+1, so it is lethal.
yeah,
And you trigger for 4, so it's lethal anyways.
and
But I canceled
then
the top here. It's pretty safe. Take the burn 1. There was 1 climax left in the deck. So funny enough, it happened to be the standby. So I either here there was 6 or 5 cards left in the deck. We'll see later. So I either clock, guarantee I get the standby, heal down, maybe play for your next turn, or I don't clock and then use the tying to do effect and then heal down, or I clock and guarantee that I get the standby,
you
which I
know
just opted for the safe play. Or I
this
guess
is
there was the option where I didn't see it was last card, but
yeah. This is also remembering. Hey, right? Huge is actually big.
yep.
So then I think this is where you signal flare that double ruby is pretty much a wrap up.
Yeah, getting standby here is just huge anyways. Because you're out like 5?
Yeah, I'm out 5 from the amount of like attempted tech manipulation.
Yeah, so since we have a 3 and 4 chance of getting the standby, there's no way I miss it. right?
Oh,
But good thing we see it off the second card. 'Cause, if they stopped and something happened, it's not a good sign if they stopped early.
you know,
Yep.
stopping
So
early
yeah,
basically means all right, it's time. So
yep. And then we just drop our triple combo. One good thing is Ruby always burns 3, even if there's no character. But since I did have 1 card left in deck, or 2 cards, I can play the climax and swing with the last empty lane, and get
yeah,
this free stock.
but being out 5 right now. So, this is where we just are like,
First burn 3,
and
so I just need 2 of these 3s to stick. Essentially,
and then another burn 3, and there
2
we
did
go.
stick. That was it.
And this is where we kind of just like laugh it off a bit, being like, man, this dog counter did nothing this matchup.
Yeah, just because it's more of, I think if your opponent doesn't know about it, it's actually like, pretty solid.
Yeah, it's
Because
one of
there's
those
times
like
when,
super sleeper setups where it's just like, all
yeah,
right, surprise, last minute.
because sometimes I didn't, because I was thinking about whether I wanted to play the climax there, because I did have climax swap, so I could have just like prepped the climax.
Mm.
But remember with the dog counter, and that I needed the extra 1K to actually get over the counter. It's a pretty big thing because that Ruby lived for a while time.
Yeah, but there we go with that. We're currently tied 1-1. I wanted to see A matchup. Trajan wanted to see B. So
Yeah,
it's all up to our C eat C matchups.
yeah, whoever those are,
That's gonna be definitely hilarious.
some
But
cheese stuff. Yep.
quick McDonald's runs. But yep. All right. So we'll see you guys for that one.
See ya.